Our next build to look at is Clint Barton Hawkeye. He is one of the most fun characters to play and a really diverse kit, but he's also one of the most accessible characters to play as because his bag of tricks is so efficient and good at ad clear and single target DPS that he is a really great entry level character for anybody, but also he has a very high skill ceiling as well with his kit, and it's really diverse. So this is a very solid setup for him with a few pieces that I'm hunting to improve it and to kind of perfect it, and then there's a few other pieces that I switch out depending on the situation. A couple gear pieces are very accessible. Some are require some really nice RNG from the raid. But looking at first at his ISOs, I have a triple Valor ISO here. In a perfect world, I would have a different perk than the Spin Safeguard, something that would boost my ultimate recovery or my assault heroic recovery. And then the bottom perk, I really wish that that was increased damage to power attacks. That would be perfect. And then over here, I have Precision Valor Resolve Reactive Cosmic Surge. If you've seen any of the other videos, you know that I have Reactive Cosmic Surge on all my characters. It's the best perk in the game, hands down. In a perfect world, I would get a different thing than Spin Safeguard. And then I would have Precision Valor and Proficiency for my stats because as he is right now, I don't really need that extra Resolve. He's a little bit tanky here. Um, Especially if I'm switching out this for this range piece where I have this resilience. But as it is right now, I guess I don't mind that extra resolve or 184 resolve for him. Now looking at the different gear slots 1 through 4. So the first slot, the melee slot, this is my bread and butter go-to because the split shot multiplier, I mean the split shot vibranium, and it's a max stat roll with precision valor. And this main build for him, I don't run as much might on him for melee damage because I'm primarily doing range damage. And so this is just a really great gear piece with the max stat roll and lethal vibranium conduit. So I'm constantly getting the conduit and sending it to my teammates who are all typically running different perks that benefit from lethal vibranium. And that pairs perfectly with this raid piece right here that has receiving accelerator. So I'm going to do 40% more damage. And then if I manage to get the faultless buff proc, then that's 65% more damage on top of that 40%. And so this is a really great pairing. But this pairs with this as well. And even though this is the same type of status effect, it's a warm or positive, this is also a great pairing because proficient buff is going to be procced on Bag of Tricks, which is a power attack. And then the target attack on Surge is always great, extra 50% damage on top of that as well. So these are the range pieces I run. I run this honestly the most. This is the one of the most accessible pieces that you can get is from the Wakanda vendor. We just need to get an offline date for that. So if anybody has it, that would be really great information to share. But this is the best gear set, a gear perk set in the game for him, in my opinion, because a targeted buff, and which is proccing all the time for him, and then Sonic Pulsar Arrow, which is the best pairing with Vibranium Split Shot because that Pulsar does the most damage of his bag of tricks of the non split shot part, and it's going to do great battery damage. And then Lethal Targeted Spark, that heroic charge burst is going to constantly be happening whenever your ultimate is active because of the shock status effect that's happening. And so typically, whenever I pop my ultimate with a large number of enemies, I have my ultimate back by the time I'm done clearing out that wave. So this requires a bit of luck, but this is just from the vendor and it's really accessible. I highly suggest getting it. Even though it drops your Valor, it's still worth it. This is the stats with running something with Valor in the range slot. A few other melee pieces that I run. This is a really great sword from the Tachyon event, getting split shot, doing shock. Um, but the thing is that because of his heroics being more cold or negative status effect, I don't typically run like the Sonic or the Shock for the split shot just because my heroics are typically active with him, and so I like to get that battery effect here. Um, and then for the chess piece, this is really as good as it gets, except for the top perk slot, and then you can get a different stat set, either just Precision Valor only or Precision Valor Resilience. But I do like having a little bit of hybrid here with Might, Precision, and Valor. The reason why this is, I think, his best chess slot in the game is because the split shot multiplier. Once you get used to having those extra split shots shooting out with your bag of tricks, or just firing off a split shot, it's really hard to go back. And reverberation breaker, when you're having a split shot that's vibranium, it just racks up the damage. It's really, really good. This is just the best. And really, honestly, that Sonic Safeguard is not a bad thing for the raid. Having that damage reduction from Sonic attacks, which is a lot of attacks in the raid, is really not that bad at all. Some runner-ups is if you wanted to have different ISO setups than the Cosmic Affinity, then have the Omega Battle Armor. You can have Proficiency, Resolve, and Precision, and then have Reactive Cosmic Surge there. Um, this is a good option if you don't have this, but if you can have this, please use it because Split Shot Multiplier is so good. From the Cloning Lab, he can have the Rampant Assistance. Keep an eye out for that if you are running something other than one of these two chess pieces. This would be a good option to have. Now, his heroic slot, I still have the original Eagles kit. This is not attainable anymore since they restructured the gear sets. And this is like his best in slot, but it's not attainable anymore. They kind of realized, I guess, that having these three gear perks is a little too OP, and so they split these up between the three different gear sets, between the villain sector set, the vault set, and the priority mission set. Now, it's really kind of up to you. Just get a heroic piece that has precision, valor, and resolve. That's all you really need to go for. Um, the This is actually what I've been hunting to get is this exact same gear perk set from the cloning lab, but to have precision valor resolve. If that might was switched out for valor, then I would be running this honestly, because having that locked on resonance plus the Nightstorm arrow extra charge is just too good to pass up. So that's something that I'm hunting, and that takes care of Hawkeye.